Hey, welcome back. It's Mindset Explosion, season number 5, episode number 12. Okay, welcome back. So today I'm going to talk about growing a business from the street. So probably be a bit of a short one today, but hopefully it's going to give you some tips and inspiration wherever you are on your journey. And even if you're not in business or self-employed, this is still going to be great for you because it's going to talk about a lot, of course, about the mindset on how we can grow and develop ourselves as individuals anyway. So what does it mean? So well, I posted something out on my personal profile a few weeks back. So I'm actually about 17 years. It's 17 years since I left an engineering role. So had you could say it was a good career path, right? I'd been to college and studied and been working there since 96, I think it was. So eventually left in 2005. I did take a bit of time out for some traveling twice, which we got a lot of stick about for me leaving and coming back to this same role. But each time I went back, I had different responsibilities, as part of that. So that was my journey then. So I learned an awful lot during that time. About business, about like setting systems and creating systems. So I was also as an electrical engineer, I was also the quality assurance engineer at Twyver Switchgear. So and working between two units to make sure, well, updating the systems because we went through a massive change. So I was responsible for that and making sure that those systems were in place and being, followed. And then if there's a change to come along, to adapt it to make sure it, we was all in the same page basically. So that was then. And then I left and I was doing martial arts anyway. I was always been passionate about, had the opportunity to then go and work for my instructor, Stephen Thompson. So he was opening up another martial arts center in Gloucester. And that was my job. So I left. I left a career and went self-employed and into a brand new center which had zero students. Now I wasn't the main instructor there, and I must, it's important to add that my confidence wasn't, I probably wasn't quite ready for teaching. I thought it was, but it soon became apparent I wasn't quite ready for that yet. But there was other skill sets I really needed to work on. So as much as I love martial arts, this is the same as what I said in the copy, right? You can be the master of your trade, you can be great at any, but if you've got no clients, it's absolutely a worthless business. So for us to grow that, we had a lot of training, obviously. And we had to go out and basically meet people, and that's pretty much how my business was growing as well. Because before I bought the business, I later moved to Cheltenham through Stephen. My name went on the lease, and we had to do the same thing to grow the Cheltenham school. So basically, what my role was, one of my roles with the other staff, or self-employed staff, is that we would go into the town in Gloucester. We had zero people, right? So I've taken on a job with zero people, and we would stand in the town or walk around the town. And it was a massive mindset shift because, in terms of social media, then there was Bebo. What was the other one? Doesn't matter. But if you remember, put it in the comments for me because it's totally gone out of my head. That's how pointless it would have been. no one remembers. I think YouTube was about, but you couldn't do what you do now. Like, you couldn't do this, right? So you had to go out. It was either put leaflets through doors, which are great, and some things they work. But it's a lot of work walking around, and you got to go back to there, and then you're hoping for someone to come to you. So we were trying to be a bit more proactive, and we had a certain pitch that we would use, and it was going out into the town and stopping people. Now I would do a martial arts bow and stand in front of them, and that's what we all did. Do a bow, stick out our hand, say, "Hi, my name's Matt, from Karate World. I'm just down on London Martial Arts Centre, just down London Road. The reason I stopped today is to see if you'd be interested in a free 30-day martial arts trial, see if it's right for you and your family. How does that sound?" And then you say whatever they're going to say. Or if I could might even just go in to kind of take your name and number. Now it was hard going, and it was a bit controversial maybe with the martial arts world because, you shouldn't be doing this, but you need people. You need people to be able to make that center work. So the aim was, between three of us in the team, we would be looking to get 10 names and numbers each. So that's the gist of what this is about. So wherever you are on your journey in business, or even if you're working for someone else, that sometimes we have certain skill sets. So in this case, my skill set was really just I was all right at martial arts. So why I had to redevelop and retrain myself was in the marketing side of things. Now, it worked for me because I was so passionate about what that training could do for people. I seen, obviously knew what it done for myself, not just from the fitness element, just in the whole life skills, the mindset, the personal development. I knew the benefits of that. So I was so passionate about wanting to make that work. And I had to get my head around like going up to I did it before I got the job. When I was looking to get the job, I went out on my own to try it because I thought, flipping it, if I can't this on my own, um, how am I going to be within the team, if that makes sense? So, being part of that team was, again, it was incredibly important that, it was horrible when you come back some days you didn't have any. And it would always be something that's in your head every single time. And we stood out in all kinds of weather, snow, wind, rain. Some people got spat on. It wasn't very nice, and it wasn't nice how people spoke to you, because I appreciate we're intruding their personal space. They're just there to walk through town, and there was charity people and all sorts of people trying to stop you every 2 seconds. So I appreciate it was like, is someone else going to stop me again, or we've stopped before? So it was a tough way to build that business up, but it was either that or no, it was just going to fail. So my point is that even a few years down the line, when I eventually bought the business, the Cheltenham location where I was positioned, where I was placed, there was still a lot I had to learn. So I'd learned quite a lot about marketing by that point. But then again, the marketing for us had changed. So we don't do that anymore. So thank God. But we get to do it from the comfort of our workplace. And obviously we've built a situation where we get referrals, and of course social media is a big help on that. So people get an idea of what we're about, who we're about. But my point really is that obviously on my business journey, I've met so many people, and you can see how stuck and it's easy to get stuck. Staff came and went at one point at the beginning. I think Stephen had quite a good loyal bunch. At some point, everyone just had to move on. People moved on, and people came and went. And the ones that seemed to really hate it and start blaming everyone else was the ones that really seemed to struggle with that part of the job. And it was hard because we were doing long hours. But really is that I have to understand that for any business to work, of course we need clients. So we could be whatever your trade is, whatever you're good at. And even if you're good in sales, you still got to be able to market and get out there and put yourself out. So, and I think this is true in many things in life. Sometimes we don't always get what it is we want right now. I'm starting to, I was, even when I'm working in the property side of things, when I was doing the business buying, like for last year when I was purchasing the businesses, to get the one that I first purchased, that was probably 50 people I spoke to. And that was a bit of a two-way thing. It had to be right for me. Sometimes it wasn't right for them. And it just is that process. So be prepared for 10 no's before you get one yes. And there's so many ways to market your business, but sometimes it just means thinking outside the box. So in this case, we had to think outside the box. Like, how are we going to bring people in? Because we can just go and tell everybody, which is what we were doing, but it was about approaching complete strangers, going up to them. And it's like you're screaming pigs, basically. If you went into the town now and went pigs, or said something, maybe don't say that one, it might get funny looks of other people. But my point is this: when you scream loud, people turn and they look. And that was the whole point of this bow. And trust me, we had to practice this bow for about 20 minutes. I didn't get it right, or your foot not together, your hand more by the side. So we perfected that down as best as we could, and we even well into the process of building that center up. Now, might add that we built that to probably about 200. I think it's around about 200 members. I'm going to take a bit of gamble I'm definitely within the first 9 to 12 months. And it was from following that process. But the process from there, obviously getting a name and number, that was the first thing. And that's all we needed to focus on. We weren't trying to sign them up to any, martial arts program then. It just got to break things down into little stages. So at that point, our main purpose was, let's see if we can get a name and number. Later on, then there was phone calls to make. So it could be like, we have to get onto those calls. And out of those 10, let's say between us, we got 30. So we'd probably expect to get 15 appointments made. So you always like half it down, and you're not going to get through to everyone. And sometimes people would just get their number because they didn't really know how to say no, which is fine. Again, it's all part of that process. So it's understanding it's 10 no's to get that one yes. So out of those 15, let's say 7 would show up for the actual appointment. And that was the downside. It was a free appointment. People, if they had to pay for it, it would have been different. We'd probably had all 7 show up. We probably got less names and numbers, but it'd probably been the same result either way, right? So yeah, so 7 would then show up, and out of those 7, you probably get about another half of those actually get started on a basic level starter program. And then out of that, so let's say 3, and out of those 3, probably 1 is just going to then stay on for the as a full member. So can you see like the importance of the numbers as well? So it's kind of 2 things that are in this, but it is a mindset thing. Now, if we were just, we got to get someone started, we got to get someone trained, and you can come across as quite desperate. And it's very important to have an abundant mindset. So if you think when that center opened up, there was no students, none whatsoever. I really struggle with it because my role was actually to do the trial as well. So people were coming in. I think, oh my God, they're going to sign this. This one's going to be the first one. No. I think my mum was in the end. I think it got to the point where I thought, if I can't get my mum involved in this, then I'm going to give up. So my mum come in. She wanted to find out more, whatever, and the rest is history. So she started she started at 57 doing martial arts lesson. Went all the way through, and actually that gave her the confidence to go off and do some traveling around the world to New Zealand and all sorts. So again, I knew those benefits, right? So I think that was very important to me. So we got to there in about 12 months. Let's say 12 months, 200 members. I think that's pretty cool, just from that process. So you think every day we have to do that. So when I say every day, Monday to Friday, sometimes on a Saturday. And then I got the opportunity to go over to Cheltenham. So we got up to there, I was doing great. And then it's like, okay, let's start again. But say it wasn't start again. It was like, oh, right, now I'm in control of this ship to an extent. So Stephen's name was on the lease. I was the head instructor. Again, 0 members. And this time we actually got a first member before we'd even finished, before we even opened. Was in a different process. My children's mum was working with me at that point as well. So we got our first member before we had finished like the refurb on this place in Cheltenham High Street, wherever it is. And we got there definitely 200 members from that same process, a lot quicker this time. It was that was definitely within the first 9 months, because I remember we were trying to pay off the refurb costs, for building that up. And it was having that abundant mindset. So first you got to believe in yourself. So my skill set by that point, as well, once it got into after 2 years, so 2007, I came to Cheltenham. So my mindset was very different then. I'd evolved. I believed I could teach a class, and I could, impact a lot of people, but I hadn't really had the proof of it so much. Done a little bit of teaching at the academy over in Gloucester. So my top tip is this. So growing a business from the street is, first, you got to believe in yourself. You got to be passionate about it. You got to have your purpose, your why, and understand if you have, like, what's the worst case scenario? If the internet shuts down today, if there's no social media for the next few weeks, or for something happens where you can't quite get a referral for whatever reason, or it's with all the costings going up, like what would you be prepared to do? So could you just go out and stand on a corner and introduce yourself to people? Yeah, I think you could, right? I think, is it going to be easy? No, but get out and do it. Have you ever been to some of those events as well? You see people promoting and they just stood there and you think, oh my God, I just want to come over and help you. But I understand it's definitely a mindset thing. When it's your own, it's different as well. So growing a business from the street, it's an achievable thing, and you can be the master of your trade, but you still got to learn the other side of things. And that's what I learned. So I was in Cheltenham then to 2013. If you watched my interview last week, it was with myself, because I'm weird like that. So I kind of talked about some of this stuff then. So if you haven't watched or listened to that, go back and drop some comments in. And don't forget this nice 5-star review on the audio, of course, on the podcast. So I later then bought the business, that location, in 2013. So obviously I'd helped grow that through that process. And by that point, social media was, really starting to kick off. But I had no idea on doing the adverts then, or how to make that work for me. So and that was the next step. So really, it's like starting out is sometimes you have to do everything. You have to wear all the hats, and slowly you can take one hat off and pass it on. If you're in a position to get started, then you've got someone that can do the marketing for you. Happy days, because that's going to be the best thing you can do, unless you're a marketing expert. Otherwise, you got to take the time to understand it and how you can push yourself more. So many people start out in business. And even with staff that I've worked with or have worked for me and they're gone. And sometimes the ones that seem to get the hump were the ones that didn't understand that process, which is just how it is. Because even if you're not in a business, as in you don't own your own business, you're not self-employed, you're still marketing for your role. It's inevitable. You have to, because what happens if there's no one coming in? Well, now you're going to be looking for another job, and you're just going to keep following that pattern. So it's understanding that there's a responsibility by everyone that to put ourselves out, and we can grow it from a street or we can grow it from our room, but we have to understand the process and the psychology behind a lot of things. And that example of me saying, right, I went out, we did a battle. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. That's me. Oh my gosh, live on air, never mind. So that process was, I said, it was turning a glance into a stare. And there's different, and it's understand that first stage was so important. It wasn't about come by for me. It was about turning a glance into a stare. Because think about it, martial arts, it's not something that's going to be for everyone. And as soon as first thing was get someone to stop. It wasn't their name and number. Someone to stop. Turn a glance into a stare. And once I turned that glance into a little bit of a stare and I got their attention, because most of the time it'd be, do you bow, excuse me, no. So you even getting to that stage, you think to get someone to stop, I went through the breakdown, right? So to get the one person to be a full member, we had to speak to 30 people. And actually that was 30 people. It wasn't speak to 30 people. We had to get 30 names and numbers. So prior to that, between us, we'd have had 60 people that we would have approached. And it's probably more than that, to be honest with you. So it's the same with, like, if we do leaflets, if you're trying to grow a business with leaflets, putting them through the doors, one is not going to be enough. Not a chance. One's not going to be enough. Because people need to see it, probably about 7 times, right? And probably people that I stopped a few times, or they've been stopped before, and actually they'd say, oh yeah, stopped me before and come along. But we have like let's say I've used this martial arts as an example. People have like a perceived thing about it. Oh, I don't want to get my head beat up. It's like, okay, but we do fitness programs as well. So it was kind of turning that glance around into a bit more of a stare. Now, probably in some businesses, you may not. I think you could do it on a lot of things, to be honest. I think if you put your mind to it and you have that open mind, think outside the box, you could have a lot more. Now, I worked for a window company for the summer once. Can't remember the name of it, but it was just a summer job. I hated it because I wasn't really passionate about it. I was going door to door. I didn't like that. Okay, but that's simply because it wasn't for me. Not the door to door. I thought that was the problem, but it was just I had no passion in trying to convince someone to get new windows. But I'm not saying that's if you're into that, that's your thing, isn't it? Right? Not everyone's going to want to be into martial arts, so you're not going to go out on the street and do the same thing I had to do, right? So make sure you got that. But if I was young then, so maybe if I understood my why, my purpose, it'd been a different thing. So all those things happen. Same when I worked at Debenhams. So at Debenhams, I actually really enjoyed that job, meeting people and working on the till and serving the customers. And there was certain targets similar to there, but I didn't like the target I had at first. I didn't like. Then I changed my thought process and realized that I was actually saving some people some money. So okay, now I'm interested if it's helping people out. So that fitted in then with my morals and my principles, if that makes sense. Plus, I didn't want to lose my job. So going back to where I changed so where we changed, like from going out on the street talking to people, was social media, but actually the principle was still the same. We had to somehow, and this is how we work it now with all the business that I have, that we try and grab some attention, and not necessarily to sell. Just grab some attention. Maybe give something of value. Put something out that's maybe a bit more, a little bit interesting. Not just, hey, come to me. 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 Gets a little bit scarcity mindset, and I feel people can sniff out that. It feels a bit desperate as well. And are we desperate? Well, of course we want people to come and train with us. People will come and go because people move on and move out of the town. Sometimes it's not for everyone, because that's why we have a trial process. But my point is this, that it's a continual process. And also now we build it up because we get a lot of referrals, which was pretty cool, just from the members themselves. So, but the point is that with our, what we put out, say social media, is, as a process behind it. There's a process behind it. I see others like trying to run us down, and I kind of like, yay, thank you. You just just saved me a big problem. As in, they're just attracting the people we don't want, basically. And that's what it's about. Is, again, we're trying to attract and repel people. So things you may struggle with, if you're in a situation where you do have to, I meet a lot of business owners or self-employed, and they literally have to go and make the phone calls like that, but they really struggle with the mindset as part of it. People that are in property struggle with maybe just going out there and talking to agents, building that relationship up, because we're so scared of that no. But sat at home doing nothing is still the same problem, right? So you might as well get out and do it. But break it down. The first step is like getting there. The first step is then stepping forward into the building. The next step is saying whatever you're going to say. But if you kind of rehearsed it, then you're going to have the right words. And then just let it build up. It's always a relationship building process anyways, for everything that we do. So someone that left their name and number, they're a bit curious, but they weren't ready to, purchase. And the same with our marketing now with the martial arts. Someone that leaves an email and a contact details with us, because that's generally how it operates now through the social media. They're going to send something. They're probably not quite ready yet, so they're just leaving some contact details, and maybe we'll give them a bit more information. Most will, okay, I'm not ready just yet, but thank you. All right. And then others will, yeah, okay. And then the ones that aren't ready, some will never come back and some will come back. And a lot of the time, they will actually end up marketing for you. Oh, I know this one place, it wasn't for me, but so keep that process going. And it's like you're filling up this massive funnel for it. But you got to start, and you got to get into it and have a little mindset shift on it, and think, what would you be prepared to do? What different things could you do to put yourself out there? This video, this audio, it's just awareness really about me as a person for some of the stuff I do. But it's also, the main purpose. Yes, I want to help people, but isn't it just like people I don't want to work with him, or I want to work with him. What's he about? But so it's still part of the marketing process, right? Having these little things. So keep doing the stuff, but remember, you got it. It's so important to learn the things you don't know. Unless you're a marketing expert, happy days, or sales expert. But it's very difficult being a jack of all trades. Trust me, because I had to do that. I had to do the cleaning, the marketing, the sales, all these things, till eventually I could step back. I'm much more about my business now. Is evolve, where so I was doing all those things before. As much as I love teaching martial arts, I absolutely miss it, but I realized that I had to work on my business and not in my business, and that has generated much better results, and creating a an award-winning team, really, because we've won a couple of awards now. So all good. So let me know your thoughts, right? If there's things that you struggle with, if when it's speaking to new clients or trying to find them, think about writing there what your struggles are. And actually, when you write them out, you probably start thinking of the solution. Just got to do it anyway, and think 10 no's, 1 yes. Some will, some won't. So what? It really doesn't matter. You don't need everyone. You don't want everybody. You want to attract the people you want to work with, and you want to repel away the people that you don't want to work with, because they're just think about it. If can't just work with everyone. That doesn't make any sense, because doing that, like, they're not going to be happy. They either expect more, or it's not for them, and you're trying to convince, oh no, this is the right thing to do. I've done that before as well. So it just, when I was in my naivety, and actually I ended up like unhappy, and that doesn't work. That's not how you get referrals, right? That's not how people, grow. So some people's attitudes are just not going to be right, and they're not going to be in alignment with you. And you can help people better when they're coachable, they're manageable, if you're a coach, that is. But you have a better relationship as well, because, like I said earlier, that's what it comes down to, is having those great relationships with the people that you meet and you're involved in and you're working with. There you go. It's a little bit about my journey on how I grew it from the street. So so that's two centers from nothing to 200 members in 9 to 12 months, and a tough industry as well. Martial arts is not an easy industry to work in. The fitness one has taken a massive hit. Fitness, the same thing, and we did that all the time. And then every now and then you see some other people doing similar stuff around the same sort of industry, and they had their way. We just had our way, and that was how we got it to what we got it to. And as I say, now it's social media is a big platform, but I know in my heart, if Mark Zuckerberg decides to have a Thanos moment and click his fingers and wipes out half of the social medias, and I know I can still keep that. I can still find the people that we want to work with within. Okay, there you go. So 10 no's, 1 yes. Don't worry about it. Take that first step, break it down. You just got to go and speak to someone. Once you got their attention, then it's next stage, then it's the next stage, rather than thinking too far ahead, because you come across as desperate, and no one likes that. All right, hope that's helped. Drop me a comment below. And as always, leave us a nice 5-star review, of course, and share.